Hey guys, welcome back to the Jamelia Greer Show. I'm Jamelia Greer, your host, and on this podcast, we talk about all things entrepreneurship with a global lens. Today, I'm super excited to be talking to you about social media and why social media is so important for entrepreneurs. If you are someone that has been thinking about getting in front of the camera, making some TikToks, doing whatever it is that you want to do on social media, but you're afraid to, this episode is for you. So stick around. Okay, so first off, social media, I don't know why, but for those people that are around kind of like my age, in their 40s, social media has such a stigma attached to it. If you're present online, if someone can Google you, if they can find TikToks about you or find a YouTube channel, there's such a stigma attached to it, like you're an attention seeker. But those people have it all wrong. Social media is so important in today's day and age to present yourself in a certain way, in the way that you want to be perceived by others. It is your opportunity to create the image and to create the perception that you want, right? And so it's up to you to proactively take a hold of that. So for entrepreneurs, it is even more important, right? If you're selling a product or a service, I don't care what it is. If you're, cutting grass, manicuring people's lawns, or if you have a nail salon, having a social media presence and being able to show who you are and give insights into your personality, into your likes and dislikes is only a positive for your business. It gives personal connection to your customers, and you can share your story on social media. And that's why I love it. That's why I do some of the things that I do, which I will be talking about today. Because I know some of you probably follow me online, and then maybe you stumbled across the podcast. You're like, oh yeah, she has a podcast. Who knew? But you didn't start listening to this podcast because of the podcast. Maybe you started listening to this podcast because of TikToks or YouTube or whatever it is. The other thing about why social media is so important for entrepreneurs is that it breeds credibility and even trust. I have gotten into the habit, maybe a pretty bad habit, but I do Google people. And particularly before I have business meetings, I need to know, like, who am I about to get on the call with? Who am I going to meet in person? What have they done? Where have they been? It's just that I think most people do that nowadays. But if I Google you and there's nothing, if I can't even find a photo, it is a big red flag to me. I'm like, oh no, this person, if someone is a ghost, I see that as a big red flag, because in 2025, you should have something. I don't even care if it's a LinkedIn profile with no photo and just one job back from 1995. You need to have something up there. So there is an amount of credibility and trust that you benefit from by having an online presence on social media. And when I think I should make a distinction, because there is an online presence, right? An online presence like having a website or just people being able to find you because you were featured in articles. That's an online presence, and that's a little bit more broad. But what I'm talking about is social media and how you're using it to tell your story and to talk about who you are, what you do, and why you do it. So it's a huge missed opportunity if you don't build that out and if you don't have a space to build trust and credibility with not just customers, but people who might want to do business with you, or community members, anyone who wants to find out a bit more about you. Social media is not evil. Now it does. There is a lot of cringy stuff online on social media. I'm not going to deny that. But I submit to you that you have the power and the authority to create your own story on social media. And that's what we're talking about today. The main problem that most people are facing now is that people are shy. And it's kind of like what I talked about at the beginning, is that people feel as though if they, have an Instagram account where they're showing pictures of themselves, they're showing their hobbies or what they like to do, that other people will stalk them, or they'll take those photos and use it for something else. Guys, unfortunately, and this is coming from me, someone who's, data privacy background and has been in tech law for a number of years, there's no 100% foolproof way to keep all of your information off of the internet. There isn't. And that is the sad reality of the day and age that we live in. If you're trying to be a ghost, if you're trying to make sure there's not one iota of information or photo of you out there, there's no way that you can control that. And particularly if you want to have a successful business. If you want to have a successful business, you have to talk. You have to show your face. You have to get out there. So don't shy away from social media. Many people do. Many people are afraid of what others will say if they post things. Some people are camera shy, meaning that I hate to see myself on camera. I used to be like that, and then I just got over it. And I'm like, hey, there's nothing else I can do about it. This is the way God made me. I look this way. I can put on makeup. I cannot put on makeup. But at some point, at some level, guys, we have to embrace self-acceptance. I think that being camera shy and not liking to see yourself on camera comes from a place of not really accepting certain things about yourself. And that's why I always say that entrepreneurship is a journey in self-discovery, because you will be faced with every single challenge that you thought you wouldn't have to face. It will all come to light. So if you're camera shy, do a little bit of internal work, maybe do some journaling. Why do I not like to see myself on camera? What is it about myself that I don't like? And then from that point, you have two choices. You can either accept it or you can change it, right? If you don't like how you look with no makeup on, put on some makeup. I had a makeup artist who worked with me for a couple of photo shoots, and I loved her work so much. And I realized that if I didn't hire her, I wasn't doing my makeup. So I asked her, I said, can you teach me how to do makeup? Can you teach me how to do it? And also, can we go shopping? Can you show me how to buy makeup? And she did. Wonderful woman. Her name is Nikita. I'll put her link in socials in this show note in case any of you are in Dubai and are interested in taking one of her courses. But for me, that was part of being camera shy. It's like I didn't know how to do my makeup, and I saw everybody was coming out with makeup, and I'm like, well, damn, I would like to have makeup sometimes. And so I learned how to do it, and now I'll make a TikTok in a minute. I really don't care. I know things about my face that I want to make sure I have a certain amount of makeup before I do a TikTok. I don't do like a full face, but yeah, you want to make sure you have some lip gloss on or something. You don't want to come on looking a certain way. So those are the sorts of things that you got to do. Whatever you don't like about yourself or, seeing yourself on camera, you either have to get over it and just accept it or do something to change it. And this final problem that I mentioned earlier, people not wanting an online presence, they don't want to be seen. Like I said, if you want to be successful in business, if you're serious about being an entrepreneur, people want founder stories. If you look at any of I guess we would kind of call them like cult followings, like people who are so evangelistic about certain brands, they do it because of the story. It's because of the founder, right? And so people want to know, what do you think about certain things? What do you think about certain issues? And you're not going to do that without social media. So that's the problem. Now, a lot of you are probably listening to this and thinking, well, Jamelia, I don't really know much about social media. You got so many platforms. You got Snap, you got TikTok, you got LinkedIn, Instagram. Look, guys, I'm going to walk through all of that today. First of all, I'm going to go through the top platforms that I think entrepreneurs should be using and leveraging in 2025. But also, ignorance is not a defense. You can learn this stuff. You can go on YouTube right now and learn as much as you want about any of the social media platforms that I'm going to walk through with you today. You can learn it and you can become an expert. And it's free. It's free to learn. It's free to post on social media. So I'm sorry, I'm not gonna co-sign on that. There's no excuse in this day and age. So let's get into it. We're gonna start off with we're gonna go in order of my least favorite to my most favorite. I have preferences about which platforms I like and which platforms I don't like. I'll share with you why and what I think the pros and cons are of each of those platforms. And then I'd like to hear from you. If you have any thoughts, you can drop a comment below wherever you're listening to this and let me know what you think. Okay, first off, in order of least favorite to most favorite, first is X, formerly known as Twitter. This is my least favorite platform. So let's just look at the stats. X has about 217 million users worldwide. And it's a type of platform where you want to give like hot takes and like bold statements, and you want to chime in and comment on news and political views and things that are happening in the moment. So it's a feed, and it started off mainly as like a text feed, but now you can add videos and photos, and you can add not Twitter Spaces, there's Spaces now, and you can go live. There's all these extra things, but mainly it is a thread of text that's in real time. And so, I think it's great for engaging in current events. If you are in journalism, if you're into politics, if you have a view that you want to talk about, if you want to establish yourself as like an authority in a certain thing and you want to keep talking about, let's say you want to establish yourself as an authority in environmental matters, and regulations are coming out and you want to keep tweeting about this is outrageous or whatever it is. Yeah, that's great. Go ahead. Tweet all you like. Okay. That's what Twitter is for, or X is for. But one of the cons that I see with this platform, and the reason why I don't like it, firstly, is because I think the algorithm is really messed up. You can engage in a certain keyword. I used the word environmental matters as an example. You can engage in that on day one and keep engaging in that. And then you will be stuck on environmental matters Twitter for like eternity until you decide to engage in something else. Then you'll start getting drips and drabs of that. But it's so difficult to see other perspectives. And so essentially it becomes an echo chamber of your own views and your own thoughts. And that's not good, because you should be exposed to other competing views and ideas. And I think that, Twitter is easily manipulated, and there are a lot of people up there that have bots and have fake accounts, and there's all this other stuff going on to manipulate it. And it has become kind of like the public square of public opinion. And for better or for worse, doesn't matter what opinion is up there. There's also a lot of really racy material on X and Twitter that you just stumble across. Like I'll be scrolling, I'm like, well, how did this get here? Right. So I don't like the algorithm there. I don't really like the vibes in terms of this. Some people are so passionate about issues that they can harass other people. There's bullying. I don't like the vibes. So that's my least favorite. I don't say that to scare you guys. I think if you are in the space where you want to talk about something and you want to build credibility and authority, then Twitter, and I'll keep calling it Twitter because I grew up calling it that, then that's the platform for you. So there you go. In order from least favorite to most favorite. And that was the first one. The next one, and how many do we have here? I think we've got 5. Okay. Number 4, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a necessary evil. I know so many people who are, ages like 25 to 35 who are like, oh, I hate LinkedIn. I hate it. I hate it. It's a necessary evil. If you want a job, if you want to, build a professional career, LinkedIn is a platform where it's all about, what do you do? What are your job titles? What have you done? What were your responsibilities there? Oh, where did you move to now? Oh, how many years were you in that role? It's all about the CVs, the resume. It's just a platform for putting your accolades and your past work experiences on and letting other people see that. And then those other people determine whether or not they want to talk to you based on that. I just summed it up in one sentence. That's what it is. And for that, that's why it's number 4. Professional authority, yes, it's great for building professional authority. It's great for establishing credibility in a certain space or expertise. There's a lot of professionals on LinkedIn, but because of all of that, there is such a stuffiness to this platform that I cannot stand. I just cannot deal with it. And it's funny because so there's the number of things I don't like about LinkedIn. And this is not meant to be a rant about the platforms. At the end of this, I'm going to tell you guys, we're working our way down the chart and you'll know which ones are better. But for LinkedIn, it's very sensitive to geographic location. So if you put that you live in Dubai, you will only really see your connections from Dubai commenting on your timeline. I have people who follow me from the US. I can't see anything that they post. They can hardly see what I post. It's super geographic centric. So for that, I also don't like it. I mean, I'm definitely a global thinker and I want to see things from all around the world. I don't want the algorithm to tell me what I want to see in that way. So yeah, -5 points for you, LinkedIn. And also because it's very pretentious. People like to say, I just started this new role, or oh, I just got this certificate, or oh, it's all about me, 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 me. Well, look what I did, look what I got. I don't like that. I really don't like that. So another -5 points for that, LinkedIn. The good thing about LinkedIn, let me try to switch it to the positive so I don't so I don't steer you guys away from it. When it comes to search results, in other words, if someone were to Google you, I find that LinkedIn is a very strong ranking link on the search results. So if you look up Jamelia Greer, LinkedIn will probably be like second or third. And it's because of the number of times I've posted, the number of people who have clicked on it, etc. It's kind of like a very credible platform. So there you go. That's a good thing about LinkedIn. I can't complain about that, but only post things there that you want everybody to see. I have some connections that are really pushing the boundaries on what LinkedIn is used for. So I'll give you some examples because I do need to get specific about this stuff with you guys. I know a woman who is in the regulatory compliance space, and when she wants to post about a new regulation coming out, she'll post a picture of food, a photo of food. And people will stop scrolling because they're like, what is that? What is this? Strawberry shortcake? What is this? A bowl of soup with, like all of this stuff she'll post. Whatever she's eating that day, she'll post it. And she won't even address the food that she's posted. She'll just say, today, Hong Kong decided that digital assets, yada, yada, yada. And it will be a picture of a bowl of noodles. And it works really well. It does stop the scroll. But the fact that you have to post a photo in order to get people to stop scrolling tells me that something's a little wonky about this platform in and of itself. The next thing that I've noticed that people are doing on LinkedIn to really push the boundaries and to disrupt the current feed is posting Instagram-like photos on LinkedIn. So let me explain to you what this means. I'm sure many of you, everybody that listens to this podcast probably has an Instagram account and you scroll Instagram. You know what I mean when I say an Instagram photo. There's a nice aesthetic. There's a backdrop. There's somebody posing. Maybe there's a food. Maybe there's a nice outfit. Super aesthetic, looks like something that comes from a magazine. Post a photo like that and then talk about whatever you want to talk about. It could be related or not related, etc. This seems to be working. For me personally, and I'll talk about Instagram as well. That's number 3 on my list. I'm just not a fan. But all of these are kind of necessary evils, which I'll get to in the end. So at some point, you'll have to decide which one of these 5 evils or good things that I mentioned to you, which of the 5 platforms you will choose. So it really depends on what your goals are. If you are looking to sell business services to professionals, you need to be on LinkedIn. Absolutely. You'll need to be on LinkedIn because that's where professionals are. Number 3 in my list, moving from worst to the one that I like the most, number 3 is Instagram. Instagram has over 2 billion users worldwide. It's pretty big. Maybe even more than that, but 2 billion users at least. And Instagram started out mainly with photos, as you guys know. It was simply a photo feed, and then they added Instagram Reels and, kind of to compete with TikTok. And it is very much a place where you can lose a lot of time. You can scroll for hours and then be like, hey, I forgot to pick up the kids because you've been scrolling. Instagram has great reach. It's great for reaching new audiences around the world. Hashtags help a lot with that. Search results, it's great for search results. If someone Googles you and you have an Instagram account that is in your name and they've Googled your name. So for example, for me, they would Google Jamelia Greer and they would see my account, my handle, and my username is Jamelia Greer, and they would find it and be like, oh, there she is, right? So it's great for that. And it also has a lot of capabilities to sell. You can sell directly from your Instagram account. You can have communities or broadcast communities. You can do a lot of things on Instagram. And I think that this sweet spot of population, ages like 25 to 44, are basically on Instagram. So that's why it's number 3. It's almost like you have to have a really good reason of why you don't have a presence on Instagram. Now, I say that with my own Instagram account being somewhat neglected. And here's why. I find that the algorithm is also wonky. About 5 years ago, it was much better. You could post, people who follow you would see your post. These days, getting followers is like, it's like pulling teeth. You have to be doing reels. You have to post consistently over long periods of time. It is a full-time job. And I just feel like, well, I have a podcast, so I'm not going to be posting all this stuff on Instagram. I'll promote in other ways. And the people who listen to the show, you guys will find me. And then later on, when we get, resources to really go into Instagram, we can. But for now, it's not a strategic priority for me. But for you guys, you need to at least have an Instagram profile with your name and some photos of you doing something. I don't know. Somebody has to know who you are, what you do. Make it look nice. Use your bio. Use your profile name in your bio. My name is Kevin and I like computing. And then have some photos of you on, like, be a person, be a real person. Do not be a ghost online. I'm telling you guys, this day and ghosts raise red flags. That's all I got to say to you. So if you haven't created an Instagram account, create one. I'm sure most of you have one. If you have one that is old, that has weird photos, delete those. Delete those photos. I went through my Instagram account and I took a lot of stuff off because I realized, like, wait, a lot of people are seeing this. And I have pictures of I do have pictures of me and my kids online, but it seemed to be too much about family life and not as much about me. So now I put some things up there every now and then. I'll be like, okay, let me post just to, keep the cobwebs off of it. But you've got to have something, right? Try to keep it somewhat recent. I think that's good for you. If you're starting a business, if you are trying to raise a profile of your business, there's so much you can add to Instagram. I particularly like the content of people who own bakeries. And they're like, this is what I wake up at 5 a.m. and I'm, doing whatever. I'm like, that's cool. That's interesting. I would totally go to that bakery and buy something that I shouldn't eat because I like her. That's what I'm thinking when I'm looking at Instagram. But once again, Instagram these days has also a lot of questionable stuff on it. So you have to be careful when you're scrolling. The feed is crazy, guys. People put anything on social media platforms. So that's my disclaimer to you on all of this stuff. But once again, it's not a reason for you not to have a social media presence online, particularly as an entrepreneur. You need that. Moving right down the chart, number 2 on my list is YouTube, as you probably would guess. And this was close, YouTube and TikTok. You could probably say these are interchangeable. So YouTube has 2.2 billion users on it. And I find that YouTube, the algorithm is probably these days one of the most finicky, one of the most picky, but I know what it wants. At least it's not irrational. I know that it's looking for me to upload shorts and long form. I know what type of content does well. I know basically how to work it. It took me about a couple of months of really looking at analytics of how videos perform to understand for the stuff that I do what people like and what they don't like. The next step is determining whether or not I'm going to create that type of content. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But what is YouTube good for? It's good for educational, it's good for entertaining, lifestyle, vlogs, things where people can really get more insight into your life. If have I've done videos, all types of videos on YouTube, from vlogs to educational sitting at a desk to podcasts. By the way, if you haven't checked out this show on YouTube, please go over there and check it out, because all of our virtual interviews are on YouTube, and our in-studio interviews are on YouTube. So you should check that out. But the best thing about YouTube is that this is evergreen content. So what does that mean? When you tweet on X, you tweet and it goes away. It's like lost in the ocean of tweets, right? If someone doesn't see it in that second, whether they're following you or they were interested in that stuff, if they don't see it, it is gone. They're not going to see it unless they go searching for it. And chances are they probably won't find it if they're searching for it. But with YouTube, it's not like a sea of tweets. It's basically like a library of extremely meticulously organized content. So if I make a video about environmental matters and you Google Jamelia Greer environmental matters, that video is going to be like number 1. Right. I did a video about life in Dubai, raising kids in Dubai, and it got picked up by Google without people even putting in Jamelia Greer. So I check this stuff all the time. You just put in like raising kids in Dubai, and my video is like number 2 or 3 in the Google results, like worldwide. I'm like, well, damn, that's pretty good. So you do have to be careful about what you want to be found for. But if you have the bandwidth, if you have the time, if you have the passion, if you don't mind being seen on camera, I encourage you to create a YouTube account, because I think out of all the platforms that I've mentioned, it is not just a way to build a social media presence, but you can actually build a brand and a business off of it. So I'm a huge fan of YouTube creators that have been extremely smart and strategic about licensing rights that they've built off of their brand. One example of this, because I have kids, is Diana and Roma. You guys, I don't know if you watch YouTube Kids, but there's a family that lives in Dubai. They're a Russian family, and they've been doing YouTube channel for several years, but they've taken it to the level where they have basically syndicated YouTube channels in different languages. They have brand deals with Toys R Us. They have their own toys line. They have clothing. You name it. They took it to the next level. And I love that. You cannot do that with Twitter. You can dream about it. You cannot do that with LinkedIn. Dream about it. Instagram, maybe, but not likely. YouTube, yes. Because there's much more capacity for content on YouTube. Another funny thing I'll tell you guys, I went to my daughter's KG2 graduation this morning, right before I recorded this. And I swear to goodness, 5 kids out of like 100, maybe like 5 to 10 said, I want to be a YouTuber when I grow up. So they had each child walk on stage. Maybe it was like 60 kids. Each child walked on stage. They grabbed their diploma and they said, what they want to be. Or there was a picture in the background about what they want to be. And the woman on the mic said, this is so-and-so, and he wants to be a fireman. This is so-and-so, and they want to be a YouTuber. And the amount of 5 and 6-year-olds that came on that stage and said they want to be a YouTuber when they grow up, it was crazy. So I'm telling you guys, you haven't missed the boat on YouTube if you're not doing it yet. You have not. There's plenty of time. There's no time like the present. Time is going to pass anyway. Don't tell me that you're too old or too this or too that. If you have a big idea about a business that you're growing and you want to sell and you want people to know you, please create a YouTube account. And that's why it's number 2 on my list and not number 3, like Instagram, because Instagram is not giving people their flowers. Number 1 on my list is TikTok. Now, I know you're like, Jamelia, why would you have TikTok as number 1? Like I said, TikTok and YouTube, they could be interchangeable. TikTok is great for growth. And what I mean when I say that is that you could be horrible at creating content, like completely horrible. Like you could basically sit in a chair, pick up a water bottle and put some audio over it and like bob your head. And people will like that. People will give you some likes. It won't get buried. People will give you likes. You could, be horrible at making content, still grow, still be able to sell things, still be able to find your people if you just keep doing it. And that's why I like TikTok, is because it gives people an opportunity to grow. Now, in the US, I understand you guys are able to be monetized on TikTok, but in UAE, we are not. So I don't get paid any money from my TikTok account, which I'm pretty salty about, but at least it allows me to be creative. I test a lot of ideas there, which is why I have so many videos on TikTok. And if you follow me on YouTube or Instagram, you don't even see like a fraction of those videos because those are for TikTok eyes only. TikTok is a wild place. One thing TikTok is good about, I have to say, now that I think about it, you don't see racy and weird content on TikTok as much as you do for sure on Twitter and also on Instagram. It's just not doing that. I think they're pretty good about taking those videos down. So, or at least putting up a screen that says, do you want to watch this? It could be offensive. It's sensitive video. Do you want to watch or not? And then it'll say, do you want to watch anyway? And if you watch anyway, it's your own fault. So TikTok is number 1 or number 2 on my list. Out of all 5 of these platforms, I would say that it really is up to you to decide which one you are going to invest your time in. But you have to invest your time. As an entrepreneur in 2025, if you don't have a social media presence, you're leaving money on the table. You're not promoting your brand. You're not promoting what you do. You're not talking about your stuff. Even as I say these words to you, in the back of my mind, there's a voice going like, well, you didn't talk about your book. Well, you didn't talk about the new episode. Well, you didn't there's so much that you can talk about and it's all free. Guys, it's totally free. You don't have to pay. No, actually, I'll pause there. You can do paid ads on any of these platforms, which means that you pay to get more views. In my experience, TikTok has the best ROI because the reach is better and their ads are cheaper. LinkedIn, you can just spend thousands of dollars and get lost in that. Good luck with that. But for the most part, you don't have to pay. You can if you want for increased reach, but you don't have to. So I encourage you guys, please, 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 if you got to this point in this podcast, do not give excuses like, oh, I don't know. No, you know you've got to start a social media strategy for your business today. And before we close out, I told you at the beginning, I'm going to give you the steps about how to do that. And I know this firsthand because this is what I did. I had to lose my professional skin or shell in order to be able to come out and create content on social media. Some people don't. Some people will come on every day with a suit. I see lawyers come on every day with a suit and talk about laws. That's great. They're selling legal services. That makes sense. I'm not selling legal services. I'm trying to talk to people about entrepreneurship. I have to be myself. So the first thing you have to do is you have to choose a platform. Step number 1, choose a platform. If you choose Twitter, I'm assuming you have a really good idea about why you did that. Maybe you're a commentator. Maybe you have a podcast that talks about politics. That's a perfect place for you. But choose one platform. The mistake I made when I first started out was I tried to do like all platforms, and that doesn't work. A lot of people, you will burn out. Don't do that. Choose one and stick with it. The next thing you want to do is experiment. So step number 2 is experiment with the platform. Try different types of content, try different times of day, different hashtags, interact with people. Use it as play. It should be fun, right? This should not feel like horrible. It should not feel like torture. You should really enjoy this process because you got to commit to it. You're going to be doing it. So experiment and play. And then next, number 3, learn. As you play, take a look around what works, what doesn't. It's okay to stop, to abandon a technique if it's not working. Just throw it out the window. Nope, next. It's not working, it bombed. But make sure it didn't bomb because of the wrong time of day, right? So that's why I say play freely. Try different things, be creative, experiment with all different variations and see what works for you and your brand. And then also your community. Ask people like, was that funny to you? Was that entertaining? You'll be able to tell because of likes and comments. If you post something and you get a lot of negative commentary, ask yourself, what does this mean? Right? I know I've posted videos and I've had a lot of naysayers in some comments, and I'm like, they're saying bad things, but maybe this experience overall is not a bad thing because I'm learning that people are perceiving what I'm saying in a certain way that is maybe not how I intended it to be said. So how can I take this and learn from it and correct it? Okay. Step number 4 is grow. Once you identify those 1 or 2 things that seem to be working, go all in. Like double down on it, go all in and grow and see what's happening with that. For sure, growth is not going to happen overnight. You have to be consistent. Don't do this for 2 weeks and then say, well, nothing happened. You have to commit to it. And I think that's something that is just the reality of being an entrepreneur in today's day and age. Is you start a business, whether you're selling a product or a service, you need to have a social media presence, which means unless you have a budget for a social media manager, you need to learn how to use social media. Okay, so you need to commit to this. And then lastly, revise. Try other things. If you get to the end of this process and you're like, okay, this worked, that didn't, I grew this much, review your analytics, review your data, double down again on the things that work, the things that don't, carve them out and throw them away, and keep doing this process. The cycle doesn't stop. Once you've done it one time, you go back and try again. And maybe you get really good on TikTok and people are like, hey, are you on YouTube? Then consider, does it make sense for me to put some of these short form videos as YouTube shorts? Right? So there's so much that you can do. And when I talk to people about their businesses, the number one thing I want to know to start is like, where can I find you? And if they don't have anything, I'm like, ooh, how are you going to, you've got to. You're cutting yourself off from so many opportunities if you do not have a social media presence. So I hope this was a word for you guys today. I hope I was able to inspire you to not be afraid of social media. Do not be afraid of showing your face on camera. And do not care about what other people are going to say, because at the end of the day, they are not paying your bills. You need to grow your business and stay focused on that. So commit to it and use it as another tool that you can put in your skill set. I hope this was helpful for you guys. Take care. Until next time, keep growing and learning. Bye bye. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to today's episode. I appreciate when you guys tune in and the time that you take to listen to the show and support us. And I have one thing that I'd love for you to do that would really help us out, which is rate the show. If you've enjoyed it, make sure you rate it. You can do it on whatever platform you're listening on. That would do wonders for us. And if you really want to be a super fan and really support the show, there's a link below that you can support us and donate a small monthly contribution, which allows us to continue to create great content for you. Thanks so much again. Appreciate you and see you next time.